Hey everyone, I'm Tsunani. Welcome to my new video. In this video, I'm going to show you how I love working with acrylic markers. It's going to be a cozy sketchbook session. And I will share some hopefully helpful thoughts and tips about acrylic markers along the way. I really love working with markers like these, but I only really fell in love with them once brush tips became a thing. Today I'm testing a new set from Arrtx that they kindly sent to me. I already know the acrylic markers from Arrtx, especially these ones with the brush tips. The ones you don't have to pump or shake, and I love them, so I was super curious about this new set. These are supposed to be a bit more flowy. And yes, after hearing a few reviews, I already had a picture in my mind, so I was really excited to test them myself. And honestly, I'm expecting good things. And of course, I will tell you everything, even if there's something I don't like. What I noticed right away is that these markers are a little smaller and lighter, kind of, than the other Arrtx ones. I think they feel great in the hand. You do have to shake these before using them, which has the advantage that the paint always comes out smooth and the pigments mix properly. The paint in the other set wasn't always perfectly consistent from, color-wise, which didn't really bother me, but this way it's more reliable. Naturally, I first wanted to see what colors are included in this 60 marker set. And I have to say, I really like the selection. I love that there are so many greens and so many blues included. Also these nice lavender and violets are beautiful. Lots of midtones and very light colors. In my opinion, there could be a few more really dark tones. I will see if I'm going to miss them while painting. The flow of the acrylic ink is honestly amazing. I didn't have problems with a single marker. They're all super juicy. And like I already loved before, the brush tips don't destroy the paper like bullet nibs do. So let's start with this spread. First I pick out a few colors and set up a little palette for myself. Today I'm really in the mood to just play around with markers and do some loose sketching. Generally I start with the first layer to decide which color goes where. For this I usually pick midtones, colors that are not too light and not too dark. It's always a good way to begin. And if you try this, don't worry if it doesn't look how you want right away. At the beginning, it's usually just one even layer of color. So don't give up, just keep going, everything will come together later. For the first painting, I chose a darker background, so my little spirit creature would stand out better. I do have to say I would have loved an even darker violet-y color, but this was the darkest in the set. And as you can see, the clover blossoms aren't standing out from the rest yet, so I will add more contrast to them later. Then I added some highlights to the blossoms and let everything dry. I'm going to work on top with colored pencils later. That's actually my favorite way to use acrylic markers. I create a nice color mood first, and then I use colored pencils to define everything, to add details and textures. I really love the contrast between smooth flat color and the texture of pencils and pastels. Oh, and what I absolutely have to say, the paint in these markers is much more flowy than in the other ones I showed you before, and you can blend with them so beautifully. It's really easy to create a gradient. You just have to blend while the first color is still wet. I'm honestly having the best time right now. I feel like I'm falling more and more in love with painting with acrylic markers. It's so much faster than watercolor or gouache paintings. You can be super sketchy with them and it looks great. You can carry them easily in a pencil case and you don't need a brush or water. They are extremely user-friendly. I really recommend trying acrylic markers, especially if you don't have a lot of time. And because the paint is opaque, mistakes don't matter at all. You can just paint over them. So what I'm doing here, I really wanted to paint a fish. I love painting fish. I took a reference from one of my vintage nature guides. It's a mackerel. I chose it because it has such a cool pattern on its back. As you can see, I again started with a base layer. I asked myself, what color do I see in this fish? And then I just fill it in. After that, I focus on the shine and the pattern. The shine to the very end. I'm not aiming for realism here. These are quick sketches and I'm just enjoying my time. I want to discover the colors in this fish, the patterns, the shapes. Fish are such interesting drawing models. It's always a fun challenge to paint one. Then I painted more details and also the pattern on top. I used the darkest blue in the set and mixed in a bit of black. Now I'm building contrast. All the dark lines and areas like the eye and the gills. At the very end, I added the white highlights. That should always go on the top layer, like here the shine of the fish. And it worked so well. I used a tissue paper to remove a bit of the paint again, and this worked perfect. I wanted a pink background here. I thought it would suit the fish. I will go in with colored pencils later so the fish stands out more. And that's how it continues. For the top illustration, I chose matching colored pencils and tried to add more depth to the piece. Darkening the background a bit with this wonderful blue pencil. And like I said, I love the texture on top of the acrylics. It works wonderfully with the colored pencils because the marker ink dries nice and matte, not shiny and plasticky like regular acrylic paints. It actually has kind of a gouache vibe or acrylic gouache vibe when it dries. But it's easier to work with colored pencils on gouache, I have to say. It's possible to do this here, as you can see, but it feels a bit different. Soft pencils work best on top. Here I'm using Arrtx colored pencils, Caran Luminance, Holbein pencils and the Derwent drawing pencils. They all work great. Polychromos also work. They are a bit harder, but then you need more pressure for it. I also drew the outlines and all the details with pencils. I really like doing that. You get more control than with a brush tip, even though the brush tips are super versatile. I have to say, you can get fine lines or thick coverage. They are honestly a game changer in the acrylic marker world, I guess. For me, at least for me. What I mean is, I used acrylic markers before too, and I liked them, but bullet nibs are just limited. Sure, there are fine ones and big ones, but they are hard and don't blend well. I often had to use a brush to help. And bullet nibs destroy the paper, so you can use them better on hard textured surfaces like stone, but on too much textured surfaces I would worry about ruining my brush tips. Also, pump markers often make a mess, big blobs of paint coming out. So yes, I definitely prefer this type of marker and I really love to use them since I discovered them. So where am I here? As you can see, the top piece is finished now and I love it. Same with the fish. I added details with pencils, some shadows, little texture, and this way you can get a colorful result really quickly. I mean, first you prepare the piece with the acrylic markers, shape, color, depth, a bit of details, and then you add the details with pencils and the textures. Am I repeating myself? Yeah, sorry, it's just so easy and I really want to share this with you. Here I wanted to add a pattern in the background and I think it turned out so good. It's used the fish so well. I really like both illustrations. As you can see, I also swatched all the colors next to it. The whole palette I used, I always love doing that, so I can later understand how the piece came together. Then I sadly ran out of time and 2 days later I continued on the spread. With this last illustration, I struggled a bit with the contrast. The main colors I chose were all mid-tones. I did have some lighter ones, but I really felt the lack of dark tones here. I tried to balance it later with colored pencils, but it didn't work super well. But that's okay. I still had lots of fun painting and not everything has to turn out amazing. My idea here was to play with those beautiful greens again and add a few red contrast points. I painted some cute little moss and bush spirits and they are supposed to grow berries later. They're very friendly, funny creatures. I also love these chunky trees with their full leafy crowns. I started again by filling everything with color, already adding some gradients, especially in the foliage. These markers blend so well. Then I worked layer by layer until I liked the colors. And yes, I think the light-dark contrast is missing a bit, but it's fine. I still like the piece. Then of course I used colored pencils in the end. I used the empty space below to paint a clover plant without a background, and that was so much fun again. I love these greens, especially this one, this very yellow-green one. I love this color. I used it in all 3 paintings. It's definitely my favorite color in the whole set. And the violets are amazing too. As you can see, it's really not hard to sketch with acrylic markers. The great thing is that you can always paint over things. And I have to say, I really like these markers. The previous Arrtx markers I showed you earlier are ones I use regularly. I love them too. And I did a light fast test on them on the 60 color anime set, and they did really well. I didn't film it for you today, but I will upload photos on my Patreon, completely free for everyone. If you are interested in this, I will link it below in the video description for you. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please don't forget to leave a like. And if you enjoy content like this and don't want to miss anything, consider subscribing and turning on the notification bell. Thank you so much for your support. And a very warm thank you to my wonderful Patreons. You are amazing. Then have an awesome week, my friends. See you next time. Yours, Tsunami.